Hey there people, what is going on? My name is Ryan.
And I'm Lewis.
And welcome to our first ever double shoot for Hi-Point Music's Tone Zone. So we're pretty pumped about this one.
Yeah, first time for everything.
Yeah man, go gentle on me, we'll see how we go.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So what are we doing today, Lewis?
I thought to complement the tutorial lesson you did earlier this week on how to play like Hendrix.
Yeah.
I thought it would be cool to show a way that people at home can get the most Hendrix-like sounds with their pedals.
Because I think that's the thing, when I remember when we started as guitarists, like there's all these magazines like saying you got to buy like $3,000 preamps and stuff to pull people's sounds. And
yeah, that's right. The difference between studio and live sounds is massive.
yeah, absolutely.
And short of building a time machine going back to his studio sessions, you're not going to get those exact sounds. Yeah. But gear these days has gotten really good.
Especially the modeling stuff.
Especially the modeling stuff. And it can be really fun to work out how to use your pedals to get those famous sounds.
Cool, all right, so with that, we're gonna pull some of Jimi Hendrix's most iconic sounds today, so we better hurry up, drop this intro, and we'll get straight into our first ever double tone zone. Let's do it.
Great. So to start off with, I think the first thing to talk about is the guitar. Hendrix is famous for playing the Fender Stratocaster. He did play other guitars, don't get fooled into thinking he was a one-trick pony. But Strats are very inexpensive guitars to buy. Squire make great versions, there are some great Japanese copies.
Yeah, the Tokais,
yeah.
Fernandez, there's all
Grecos.
those.
It's a really inexpensive sound to achieve from that side of things. So I'm playing my Fender Stratocaster.
I'm playing Lewis's Tokai Strat today. I've been banned from my PRS. Thanks, Lewis.
For those interested, both these guitars are fitted with Kinman HX pickups. These are actually AVN 69 Woodstock Pluses. These pickups are modeled on Hendrix sound pickups.
Very apt.
They're noiseless. They sound good. That's probably about all you need to know. You could go a lot into the reverse stagger of him playing his left-handed guitar, but the reality is that strings and pickups is a very finite business. So get something that's set up well, something you enjoy playing, something that's got a good variation between a bridge and neck pickup, and you're going to get pretty close.
Cool. So we've got our guitars. What's the next step in the chain?
So I think the most important thing is his Marshall sound.
Sure. That
big Marshall stack playing.
Okay, so we've got your board in front of us, Lewis. So we're using the LeClean to get our amp sound?
Yeah, I'm using the dirty channel of the LeClean. We've got the gain not too high on there, but it's basically getting that slightly pushed amp sound so that when we back our volume off, we get to hear that signal clean up. So you can go from something like this to that heavier distorted sound.
Cool. And that on the neck pickup as well?
On the neck pickup.
So interesting thing you mentioned before we started shooting today was Hendrix didn't actually have a foot switch for his
No, that's right, for his amps, no foot switch. So all of that Hendrix tone is his amps running at full power.
Yeah.
And him just using the volume control on his guitar to then change the gain structure.
Simple, man, I like it.
It's really simple, and it means that you've got all those degrees of adjustment on your volume knob to get different dynamic levels, which Hendrix is one of those people. He's a very dynamic player.
Absolutely.
Dialing the volume down when he sings, going back and forth, like louder, more gain for solos, backing it off for his clean work.
Switching up his pickup selection as
well. Exactly. There's a lot you can do just with the electronics on the guitar into an amplifier that is at the point of clipping.
Cool.
If you don't have an amplifier that has a great distortion channel or a great distortion sound, overdrive pedals are going to get you most of the way there.
Yeah, right.
A Boss SD1, an OD3, maybe that Supro pedal we had on the channel.
Yeah, the Supro
have
drive,
really British kind of overdriven amp sounds.
Okay, but are they going to react the same way with the volume knob? And
yeah, you just got to turn the volume up, turn the gain down,
sure,
and then work it back and forth. So it's kind of clean when your volume's down, and then it gets kind of ruckus and loud when the volume's up.
All right, cool. So next step in the chain, what have we got?
I think the next step is the ability to boost that amp sound, to go from that cleanish sound, the Hendrix clean, boosting it with a fuzz pedal.
Sure. So all right, let's have a look at getting this going.
So Hendrix uses a fuzz face quite famously. I don't own a fuzz face. I have this custom-made fuzz factory, which is like the ZVEX fuzz factories.
Yeah.
It can be set to sound like a fuzz face, and the volume, when you roll it off, sounds nice. So that's why I've picked this one. Do you want to have a...
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's give you some...
All right, so I'll switch. I'll start off on the neck pickup.
Neck pickup, just with that.
Okay, so we've got our overdriven.
So that's our overdriven sound.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And then basically, I haven't got the gain set too high because we want to be able to roll it back and get it still clean.
Absolutely, yep. So
if we go that on.
Cool, and just doing that little wind off there, you can hear that.
Just that half a knob turn on the guitar.
2, winding that 4/2. And then we wind that back. You've got That sounds wicked. That does it,
it's great. It's such a powerful tool to get multiple sounds out of one or two pedals. If this was your amp, and you've got one overdrive or one fuzz in front of it,
absolutely. Like listen to the contrast. A little bit off. Halfway. That's clean.
It's great. It gets a little bit darker. You lose a little bit of treble. But if you've got your bridge pickup and your settings set up right, it's still going to be pretty bright.
Absolutely, but that's like... And that's cool having that option there where you can just literally wind your knob up and then go back into...
And it doesn't matter where you are on stage, you can rock that back and forth. You don't need to run over to the amp and change all your settings.
No roadies required there.
That's a cool sound. Very simple idea, but Hendrix kind of was one of the book writers on this sound. So
wicked.
A fuzz pedal not set too loudly, something that's nice and bright. You could definitely use a big muff. They're a pretty popular pedal.
Just setting it up right.
It's just, I would have that tone control sitting quite the way forward. And then, so that when you back your volume knob off, that's when it gets a bit bassier.
All right, cool.
So the wah-wah pedal, it's an iconic Jimi Hendrix sound, right? The Voodoo Child sound, his way of using it to vocalize lead lines is iconic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hendrix used his wah-wah pedal at the very start of his signal chain. So he ran his guitar through his wah into the fuzz, which is what we're doing today. By doing this, you're only letting a little bit of signal through to the fuzz pedal. So you're getting that tonal manipulation more than, say, that really vowel-like, more modern, I'm going to say, Metallica kind of wah sound. Okay. So it sounds a bit like fuzz on, wah on.
Cool.
So I think the way to get the most out of that wah is think about it vocally. Being a singer, he was really good at knowing when to shut up.
Very, very much so, yeah.
And his lead lines are very memorable and sing-alongable because of how well he made it sound with the wah. I think that vocalization of... So I'm opening the wah up when I'm bending. Kind of varying where I let it open and close with. So that it's, I guess it's not just a wah, 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 wah all the time.
It's not just a random movement, right?
Cool. It's a, you want to pick certain notes from your phrases to accent that sound.
Cool.
That great rhythm kind of sound. I love it.
Yeah.
So the next sound I think is worth showing off is the octave sound.
Yeah, I've been excited for this one. So let's check out what's going on.
It's an octave up,
Yep.
as opposed to a lot of octave pedals that we've shown on the channel where they do an octave down. You
Cool.
get that great fat sound. This adds this upper harmonic-like sound to your lead work.
So this is very much the iconic piece for this would be Purple Haze,
Would
right?
be the guitar solo in Purple Haze,
cool.
right? He used an Octavia designed by Roger Mayer, a very famous guitar designer. He was Jimi Hendrix's guitar tech. I don't own one of those octave pedals. I find them a little bit vintage sounding for my taste.
Yep.
So I've gone with the Electro Harmonix POG 2 for this sound.
Not a bad choice.
It's a very expensive solution to the problem, but anything with an octave up, you're going to get pretty close. That MO2 multi-overtone pedal we had on the channel has an octave up on it. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yep.
You could definitely use a whammy.
Yeah, Digitech.
Because you want that brittle kind of sound. It's not a perfect
that
octave.
kind of almost breaking up type of sound.
Yeah, so what I've done is I've dialed up a setting here on the POG.
Cool, that's a setting.
You can hear that octave up right there. I've just taken a little bit of attack off it because I want that octave.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want that octave to wait a moment after that initial attack. Because the transistor system in the octave pedal made it a little bit glitchy, for want of a better term.
Yeah.
I just want to make it a little bit less perfect.
Yeah, because you can hear that brittleness you were talking about at the a second ago. Like you can sort of hear it just in those upper tones. It's getting a bit shaky.
Yeah, I've just added a little bit of detune.
Yep.
As well, just to take the little bit of the edge off.
Cool.
To give it that more authentic kind of sound.
So starting off with I've got the volume down a little bit so we can hear that octave nice and predominant there. But if we wind that forward now, so cool. So what would you describe going on there with that?
You're getting that upper harmonic kind of sound. It's not a pure note per se. Just as you're playing there, all I can think of is that outro in Purple Haze, that like you play the tremolo picking note.
Yeah.
You really hear that.
I'll wind it up for us where we do that. So
Yeah,
you can hear it kind of glitching
guitars
out
panning
there.
around.
Yeah.
It's a cool sound. So it adds that upper harmonic-like sound. So you're not losing any attack from your notes necessarily, but it's just adding that almost harpsichord-like tone on top of the guitar.
All right, cool.
It's really thoroughly accented because the fuzz is before the octave as well.
Yeah, okay.
If you ran the octave before it,
Yep.
you would get a much more subtle sound.
Yeah, okay.
But I think this works really well.
So that's pretty important if you're really gunning for this sound.
Yeah, if you're on studio albums, if you're playing the best of Hendrix covers gigs, you're going to need an octaver, I think.
Yeah,
it's not the most
But what I was
necessary.
referring to is that position in the chain.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
All the information I could find showed Hendrix using it after his fuzz.
Okay, that's cool. So that's to get you that. Tremolo is a bit of a new one for me. Used to play too many fixed bridges in my life. All right, cool. So where does that lead us to, man, after that? We've got a cool octave sound. We've
Cool
cut
octave
right through
sound.
The wah.
The Univibe.
All right, cool.
So made by Shinai, the Japanese company. It's a vibrato effect. And rather than adding that vibrato accent to your playing, we're going to let it wash over in a modulated fashion.
Yeah.
So it's a way of adding a spatial effect.
And very much a very iconic sound of the times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He ran it in stereo, so get that great stereo imaging going on.
Yeah, cool.
Nowadays, I think people would use chorus and flanger in a pretty similar fashion, but that vibrato option was definitely there in his playing.
All right, well, talk us through the setting you've got for this sound.
I'm using the Strymon Mobius, just on its vibe mode.
I'm just laughing because, again, another one of those cheap options there.
Not the cheapest way to get a vibrato pedal, but I think MXR do a great single compact Univibe pedal I've had a little play of.
Yep.
It sounded really good. It was not very expensive.
Yeah, okay, cool.
This pedal's good because it's real valuable, and because I use so many other sounds from it.
Yeah, yep.
So vibrato mode, the speed is set at about half.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not particularly fast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just a little bit on top.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Yep.
Gives that little bit of movement, because when you turn it off, kick it on for the bridge.
There you go, yeah. Yeah, it just adds a kind of a really nice flavour, a bit of a texture on top of what we're doing.
Exactly. For held chords, if you're doing the rhythm work in the Hendrix sounds,
Sure.
you just want to strum one chord and let it go. Having that vibrato on top just adds that extra layer that's going to differentiate you from another guitar in the mix, or from your standard clean tone.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, Lewis, so the next one we've got is more of a studio effect. So
Definitely more of a studio effect. An original tape machine is very hard to maintain.
Yep.
It's a very touch-sensitive piece of equipment.
Yep.
Not an essentially road-ready piece of gear.
Not something you control with your feet.
Not something you control with your feet while you're on stage and you've got people having to hold your amps upright on stage so they don't fall over.
Yeah,
It's not the time to be using a piece of gear like that can just break so easily.
All right, cool.
So more of a studio trick.
Yep.
But I think because of the era that it was available,
Yeah.
it's another one of those iconic late 60s, early 70s kind of sounds.
All right, cool.
So I've just dialed up a really short, quick delay.
Okay, cool. So on the neck pickup here, so... You can hear that.
Lovely.
All right, cool. So yeah.
Really short delay.
Yep.
Okay, so only one repeat that's kind of obvious. I almost want it to be that slapback sound. If you're in a concert hall hearing Hendrix,
Yeah.
first thing when I build a time machine.
Yeah.
That's the kind of sound I think you can hear in that room, is that really quick slap echo. I don't want it to colour the playing, and I don't want it to be so obvious that when you back off with your gain and your playing dynamics, that the delay is really obvious.
Cool.
So one repeat, set fairly low, a little bit gritty. I've got a little bit of modulation there, like an old piece of tape would have.
Cool.
Fills out the sound. It's a great way to spice up some lead work and play a little bit less. And then once you start throwing wah and a few other things with that, you're really adding very subtle layers to create something pretty cool at the end, rather than everything all of the time.
Cool. All right, cool. So the logical thing to do here, I think, would be stack it all together. Maybe a bit of wah, a bit of fuzz, a bit of tape delay. Let's see what that sounds like.
Yeah, cool. All right. So fuzz on. Octave on.
It's very cool.
That sustained sound coming through, bringing those accents up is a great way to get that kind of end of note change.
Yeah.
You know, letting that stuff ring out, and just a great live technique, I think.
It's a very cool sound, but it's a very subtle sound as well. You know, you're not running a million things, and everything is kind of set subtly. So I guess Hendrix, in a way, he's one of those guys who, he's playing, like, it's not just his sound, it's the playing as well, in and around that.
Absolutely the playing. He knows when to play.
Yeah.
And that ability, I think it's being a songwriter, being a singer, he understands the level of dynamics and how many changes a song can go through to get from the start to the end of the song.
And absolutely that's reflected in his phrasing as a musician, the way he phrases and moves in and around the notes, I think, as well. Like having that very vocal-like quality with everything that he does, connecting his notes like a singer would. Very, very cool. And having your effects set this way really just gives him, it just supports his playing technique.
Yeah, I think so. It's always about the notes.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely,
you've only got to
100%.
colour it a little bit to get that variation.
Sure, 100%, absolutely. Okay, cool. So that wraps up our first ever double person
Yeah.
shoot tone zone. It's been a bit of fun.
Yeah, we should do this again.
I think we should definitely give it a go. If you guys have got any questions about anything we've covered or things you'd like to see coming up on the channel, don't forget to get in touch. So, Lewis, you just want to do a quick summary of everything we've done today?
Yeah, absolutely. So Stratocasters doesn't have to be a Fender. Something with single coils is a really good idea. Something that you can really manipulate your volume control on.
Sure.
I mean, you could do that with a Tele. You could do it with a Jazzmaster.
Yeah.
Learn how to use the electronics and the pickup selector. That's a good start.
Yeah.
We're going to go through to our amp sound. So
Sure.
something, that British kind of sound, you know, a Marshall, an Orange, a Supro.
Yeah.
Anything clean with a nice light overdrive.
Yeah.
That's not where his distortion power is coming from.
Sure.
That's volume for Hendrix.
Yep.
His power comes from when he punches his fuzz on.
Yeah.
So a fuzz face, there are plenty of Dunlop Hendrix signature fuzz faces.
Yeah,
Digitech do an expression pedal based Hendrix pedal as well. That's pretty cool. You want that bright sound, something that when you roll your volume back, it's overdrive, and when you turn it up, your amp is having a bad day.
Cool. Next one.
Cool. Next and most important thing, I think, is probably the Octaver.
Yeah.
You can throw it on for lead work, spice up that lead line, get that harpsichord-like sound.
Yeah.
So it's a great lead tool, and it's a great rhythm tool
Yep.
for those cleaner sounds as well.
Absolutely. Very subtle touch. And then we've got the wire on the floor.
The wire on the floor, that's kind of the most iconic pedal,
yeah.
I think, of maybe Hendrix's. We are just using the standard Vox V847 wire. There are signature models around. As always, use your ears. Try stuff and see what sounds good for you.
See which one reacts the best with your playing.
Yeah, that's right. From there, we're going to go some vibrato, that
Sure.
Univibe Shinai-like sound for a little bit of modulation.
Yep.
A lot of people would use a chorus or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess it's that change of pitch you want to go for.
Yeah,
so if
yeah.
you've got a chorus that's a little bit seasick, your chorus that affects the
Yeah,
sound
yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit.
Cool.
But you want to be able to turn the speed down because
Yeah.
it was not a fast wobble.
yeah.
It was just an overall wash kind of
Yeah.
sound.
And again, very subtle. on the
Exactly.
Depth and things as well.
Exactly.
And then the last little studio touch, right?
Tape echo.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the tape echo. Some people just don't know it yet.
I agree. I always have a bit of tape echo sitting on my sound when I'm practicing, when I'm playing. Always just.
Yeah. I'm amazed at the amount of times I turn the Strymon on, which you can have 200 delay settings in, and I pretty much just use their tape echo sound.
Just
It's
one.
great fun.
Yep.
It's organic, it's not super pristine,
Yep.
it's a little bit dirty sounding, and you can dial a little bit of modulation in, which gives it that old record or
Yeah,
old tape
yeah,
machine
yeah.
kind of, not that perfect amount of pitch.
Yep.
So in some ways, you could get a tape echo to take over that little bit of vibrato sound as well. So that'd be a cool way to get those sounds.
Cool, so hopefully that has been really helpful for you people out there learning how to manipulate some basic gear, not necessarily the basic gear we've got on the board here, but how you can get some different ideas to put together a Hendrix-like sounding rig. Also, don't forget to check out the tutorial I put together in relation to a viewer Q&A, which goes more into the playing side of Hendrix's technique. Some cool stuff for you there. So Lewis, anything else you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, I'll put some suggestions for pedals that I've heard that I think you could get away with.
Sure.
As I mentioned, it's all about knowing how to use what you've got.
Cool, and we'll drop those in the description below if you want to check out some alternatives to what we've got here on the board.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll drop them in the links below, and if you're interested in checking some of those out, you can do so there.
Cool. Okay, people, don't forget you can also support High Point Music, allowing us to pump out more content. Helps us with our studio rent, our equipment hire, our editing and production costs. Got base level memberships on Patreon as low as $2 per month that help with all of those pre-mentioned costs. You can jump on there. Every membership is greatly appreciated. So we ready to sign off on our?
I'm not, but I think for the people watching, we should.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right, people. This has been a lot of fun. Again, I'm Ryan,
I'm Lewis.
and we look forward to seeing you all in future content. Get at it, people.